Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Darkstone Dossiers with your host, Anthony Darkstone.
Hello, greetings, and welcome to everybody, and a very good evening, good afternoon, and a good morning to you, depending on where on the planet you're watching this, or possibly even the recording. This season, well, for the next month or two, I'm not going to have just one guest, but I'm going to have couples. So our couple today is a very impressive couple. They impressed the heck out of me when I saw them at TAOM. And I thought, oh, I got to have them on this show. So we're starting with this great couple who you're going to meet in a minute. But before you do, in case you haven't seen some of the things that they do, here's a little clip to give you an idea of the vibrancy of Night Illusions.
We want to introduce you to David and Kylie Knight. They're illusionists and speak.
Of the magic of David and Kylie Knight, known as Night Illusions. So let's introduce this lovely couple tonight, Kylie and David Knight.
Hello.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hey, everybody. We see some friends out there. That's exciting.
Yeah, hi, guys.
Hi, great.
Great.
Thank you. Thank you for being here, because I know you guys are busy and you're doing all kinds of stuff. I know, not everybody's running around and doing gigs, but you've been busy with a ton of other things as well. I know. Now, people who have been paying attention to that very little clip, which gives us a flavor, not everything that you do, would have noticed in there God's love. Now, I'm bringing that up for a reason, because some of the older folks like myself would very much know about people like Andre Cole and Dwayne Laughlin, etc. And I think you're the kind of, not to detract from them, but you're the kind of modern version of that, and are global ambassadors for certain things, and you do a lot of work for Christian churches, and indeed are members of an organization that some magicians would have heard of. I know of it, and I have a lot of friends in it, called the Fellowship of Christian magicians.
Absolutely.
Now, that doesn't mean that, you can't do a gig in Vegas or Atlantic City or Brisbane in Australia, but
Right.
that's the organization you belong to. For those of us who don't know too much about it, so why don't we just start with you guys explaining what that is and how you fit into it?
Oh, sure. Well, and in fairness, we weren't really that involved with them for many years, up until recently. But they're a group of variety artists, magicians, clowns, ventriloquists, jugglers, who all use their talents in church and ministry organizations. And for most of them, it's about sharing God's love, sharing the gospel of Jesus Christ. But it's also about, sharing biblical messages and things like that. And we got involved with them. Like I said, only recently they invited us to be a part of their annual convention this last year. And of course, it got shifted to online because of COVID and
Like
everything
everything
else. But it's a really great organization. Actually, Dwayne Laughlin is currently the president of the organization, and a really wonderful guy. You mentioned, but real quick, I have to say this. You mentioned Andre Cole, and my good friend Steve Rodriguez, also known as Michael Christian, is on with us. He and I traveled with Andre Cole for many years, and was a big part of our growth for sure. So,
yes.
Yeah.
Well, you can't possibly mention, and I'll give it a generic title, if you like, of gospel magic without mentioning the name of Andre Cole.
Absolutely.
You just can't.
Yeah.
And of course,
Right.
Dwayne Laughlin as well.
Legend.
I don't know Andre. I met Dwayne a couple of times, and like you say, he's a really, really nice guy.
Yes.
So you do a lot of that kind of work, and then you are involved with something that's intrigued me: Uganda shoe trees. I know what a shoe tree is, and I know where you get. What is
How do those go together? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, a couple of years back, the church we go to, our pastor has a huge heart for Uganda, and introduced us to an organization called Uganda Children's Project, which helps to sponsor children through school in Uganda. We started sponsoring a little girl named Gift. She's a beautiful little girl. And while working in Uganda and realizing and helping children through school, we realized there were millions of children who could go to school, but not allowed to go to school simply because they don't have the proper pair of socks and shoes.
Yeah.
And so what we do is we help form this organization called Uganda Shoe Trees, where we raise money to buy shoes for children in Uganda. They get a pair of shoes and socks that are actually made in Uganda. So we're actually teaching Ugandans to be cobblers, own their own business, and invest in the economy there. Additionally, the children get 2 fruit trees. One tree gets planted on their school's property that adds to the nutritional value of their lunches, makes them better learners because most of their lunches is rice and beans every day. So now they get a little vegetation with that. And then the other tree actually goes to their home to feed their families. So $20 will buy a pair of socks and shoes and 2 fruit trees. And we're the global ambassadors for it. We actually have a portion of our show that's kind of dedicated to that. So we do a little trick that involves a shoe, and then we tell people to come to our table and give us money.
It's just a good excuse to talk about the organization that we're global ambassadors for. So
yeah.
Well,
yeah.
That's very cool, because I think, it's wonderful that magic, I mean, most of us anyway, and I'm not going to bore you with stories, particularly, people like Simon Lovell, etc., who did a lot of work at the time some years ago in Bosnia and the conflicts, just literally vanishing pebbles and bringing smiles to children. So
Right.
I think what you guys are doing is absolutely fantastic, and using magic as that. Now, if somebody said, hey, look, I want to donate $20 to get somebody a pair of shoes or some leather for a cobbler to make it, what do they do? Just very simply, they contact you, and then you kind of do it.
Yeah, there's a million ways they can do it. The easiest thing is go to ugandashoetrees.com, and you can donate straight from there. At our show, it's a lot of fun. We have a little bucket that we put on our table that people can put money into. And then we have this thing called a dip jar, where you take a credit card, you put it into this little machine, and it lights up and it makes sounds. And then $20 comes out of their account, goes to the organization. It's great.
It's magic.
It's magic. People do it 2, 3, 20 times. It's awesome.
Well, what a very cool idea.
It is.
To have a credit card machine that, whirls and buzzes and makes lights, etc.
Yes.
Before we leave the what I call gospel magic, or what is termed gospel magic. I mean, you guys were also made the cover on which there was a gentleman that's fairly well known around the world, and indeed to the SAM, a past national president, Ice Kendrick McDonald. So there you are. I think.
Yeah.
They are.
Yeah,
right there.
back to back.
talk us through, if you can, some of the people there. I mean, I recognize Ice and Dwayne, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, can you tell us who some of the other folks
Absolutely. We're actually friends with a lot of those people. So up in the top left corner, that's Brock Gill, probably one of the foremost Christian illusionists out there right now. He's a stunt artist and he does amazing stuff. And then, of course, there's us. Justin Flom is right there in the center, right below us. Yep.
Yeah.
Who many of you have probably seen on social media, but he also does a lot of work in churches. And then, of course, you go down lower and there's let's see, Kendrick's at the bottom. Dwayne's right there. Dwayne's son and daughter-in-law are right above him, David and Tisha, and they're amazing people. And then it's Brett Myers in the blue shirt with the vest on. I can't remember his wife's name, but we haven't had a chance to meet them, but I hear amazing things about them. And so this is a book that Dwayne wrote last year, and he asked us to be a part of it. And we got to put a little essay in about kind of our approach to performing magic in churches. So we're very honored.
Excellent. Now, if someone wanted to get a hold of this book, again, presumably they just get in touch with Dwayne or the Fellowship of Christian Magicians. I think, I don't know.
I think they're available on Dwayne's website. So I think LaughlinMagic.com,
I think it is.
Okay. Now, we have to mention Frisco. By that, I don't mean San Francisco.
No.
I mean Frisco in Texas, which is, as the crow flies, about 20 miles east of Dallas-Fort Worth. Is that right?
Just kind of north, actually.
Straight north.
Oh, it's north.
Straight north of Dallas.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
We moved here about 13 years ago.
Yes.
And and we love it. It's what's interesting. It's one of the biggest growing communities in America. And so, in fact, I don't know if we're going to mention this later, but a few years back, we actually won an award for our business practices in one of the fastest growing cities, which is Frisco.
Yes.
And it's a great place to live. A lot of businesses are moving here, and
we love it because we're centrally located between the two airports. We've got Dallas Fort Worth. We've got Love Field to get to. Good highways. Yeah, we like it a lot. Home sweet home.
I know Texas reasonably well, but I've never been to your neck of the woods because I've never managed to get out of Dallas and Fort Worth. My stomping ground's been a little bit further south in Houston and around there, and we do have a wonderful friend, PJ, who's actually watching us from Houston. So obviously, yay for Texas. You were talking about the business award and people moving in there, because apart from Night Illusions and the magic, you also are involved in a business ventures, and I think that's more Kylie, if I get that right, which is to do with makeup. Is that what we're talking about, business wise, or is it a different business?
Yeah, that's a different business. It started off more as a little hobby, something a little fun to do on the side, and I just got involved with finding some good makeup and skincare and understanding the need for that on stage, and making sure you look good and taking care of your skin, because a lot of magicians thinks it's all about the tricks, but it's not. This is the money maker. This is what you should be, everyone focused on, and remembering you. For people like David, maybe it's more the hair, but it's taking care of your skin, making sure you exfoliate, have a good skincare routine, and then having good products to use.
So what do you do with this? This is kind of like a hobby stroke business. And then if people want to know more about these products, they get in touch with you. Is that right?
Yeah, they can get in touch with me if they're wanting to know. My musthavemakeup.com is my site. And I've got skincare and makeup if you're needing help with, what to use. Like if you don't know what color you should be using or what products you need, get in touch with me and I'll be happy to direct you. So.
Yeah, she actually has several magicians across the country who kind of go to her for consultation and get some support and advice. So,
well, the reason I brought that up is obviously, why not? Let's plug the business. But I think it's very important. Well, I think so. In my lectures and workshops, I devote a section to talking about this. As you rightly pointed out, Kylie, for me, many decades, it's important to get into makeup. Because that helps me get into character, and I know a lot of other people, mutual friends of ours, who need to do that, who do that, by the way, and there are other people who need to do it.
Yes.
As you rightly said, it's not about just the effects. It's how you look,
Right.
because
Yeah.
it's showbiz. And yes, there's a kind of David Blaine character, but by and large, I think people have said to me, "Hey, Anthony, but I just work at tables." And yeah, but that's your stage.
It
That's
is.
your
Yeah.
stage.
It
That
is.
table's your stage. You got to look nice. Your hands have got to look clean. Yeah, but I'm a
Yeah.
guy. Yeah. So what?
Right.
So, do you want to elaborate on that? I mean, people can
Sure.
come to you and say, "Look,
Yeah.
this is what I'm doing. Can you
Exactly.
help me?" Because TV lighting and stage lighting
Yep.
are entirely different things. What works on stage does not
Right.
work on TV. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, even if you're doing restaurant work, you may want to just put on like a little BB cream, which is like a tinted moisturizer, just to even out the skin tone. If you tend to get a little sweaty, maybe you want to put a little setting powder just so you're not looking shiny and, making sure it doesn't drip down off your face or what have
Mhm.
you. For stage, you might want something a little bit more, and I can direct you as to what I would recommend for that. But David uses makeup on stage. I definitely use it on stage and just enhance your features. And yeah, making sure you're not shiny. I definitely recommend that. And then not only for the makeup, I mean, to have your makeup look good, you need to have good skincare. So I also want to emphasize that. Like, I recommend an exfoliator to every single person. I've got it right here. This is your friend, people. Got to get rid of that dead skin underneath. Moisturize to have better skin, and you'll notice you better skin care and better makeup.
Yeah, because it's showbiz. I mean, obviously I'm
Yeah.
showing my age, and I don't mind, but we always kind of get ready for your gig, whatever it is.
Right.
And if, as you say, you've exfoliated and your skin's clean and you've taken the trouble to shave and make sure, and
Right.
little touches, it
Little
just
things.
presents a nicer visual, I think.
It does.
Because it's part of everything. Now you are obviously in Texas, the pair of you, and I happen to know that you've been married now for 20 years or a little bit more. Is that right?
Yeah, it'll be 21 years this December.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow! Congratulations!
Thank you so
Fantastic.
much. Best trick of all.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I didn't realize that they allowed people to get married at 15 years old.
Yeah.
She's Australian, so that's how we get there.
Yeah, I was coming to that. I was coming to that because you're not like a native Texan or even a Native American.
No.
Let me rephrase that.
Well, yeah.
An American. You, in fact, hailed and originally from Australia.
Yes, I'm a Southern girl.
Yeah, so we're gonna ask the obvious question: how did you get together?
That's a good question.
How or why?
You said that, not me.
I know.
Yeah.
Yes, so I was born and raised in Melbourne, Australia, and then we went to Brisbane for a short time before coming to America, not planning on staying here. I had no intention of living here full time, but I was only going to be here 12 months. And I was living in Littleton, Colorado, and started going to a church there and their Bible study. I had met somebody and they were able to pick me up and take me to the Bible study. So I was going there in between my travels. David was going to the same Bible study in between. He's traveling with Andre Cole at the time. And then one night we met up, and within 3 weeks we're engaged.
Yeah, because I was going to say, I heard that you guys kind of moved pretty fast.
We did.
And I think you got married shortly afterwards. You didn't wait too long either, did you?
It was about a year.
Yeah.
And we got
That's
married.
not
Yeah.
bad. Yeah,
Yeah.
about it. That'll about do it. Now, I'm dying to ask you this, right? How on earth did you convince her to get into magic with you?
That was a much tougher conversation. Actually, it wasn't tough for her. The tough part was for me. I had actually been in a relationship with another girl for about 4.5 years and was convinced I was going to marry her. But she had helped me with a show at one time, and it was a disaster. Like, she just, it just didn't work. And so I'd kind of put out of my head the idea of my partner ever being my partner. And then one day after we'd gotten engaged, a couple months before we were married, I had this show. I had a string of shows that was 40 shows in 3 days. So it was like 15 minutes back to back to back. And I'm like, yeah. And I said, I just need somebody backstage to kind of reset some props and make sure things are brought to me. Would you mind helping? She's like, sure, that's fine. And what we found in that moment was we had an amazing chemistry, and she was able to kind of predict things I needed before I even knew it. So I didn't have to ask her for stuff, and she was like bringing me stuff or having stuff reset. And we just kind of realized that this kind of worked. And thankfully, she's gone along for the ride, and she's kind of taken it on as her own now. So
yeah. And, you know, obviously you've learned things like, you know, the gypsy tie and getting into boxes and becoming a box jumper.
Right.
and stuff like that. Which brings me to a kind of semi-serious question. I know friends of mine, not necessarily magicians, who are married, obviously live together, work together, and have children and so on, but they're also working together and they go on stage. Now, my own experiences back in the day with my son, there were times when we would till about 2 minutes before showtime, and then everything was great. Although we didn't work it well in the early days, he was like a double act where I used to, you know, shoot things at him and stuff. But then he got his own show, and then we would do, you know, the same gig, the same show, but he would do his act, and it would be, you know. So here's the burning question: how on earth do you manage to juggle the David and Kylie of Night Illusions showbiz people to the David and Kylie hanging out and deciding which TV program to watch, and, you know, which brand of coffee to have, and that kind of thing? It must be difficult as husband and wife to work together and, you know, do your kind of everyday daily life. You guys want to talk a little bit about things? I think it would fascinate a lot of people to know.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's, you know, a lot of it is, I recognize that she's always right. And so if we just go with that, then
I trained him really well, didn't I? That's why I got to stick with him, because it took so long to train him. I don't want to start over with someone else.
Well, yeah, I think that's a short answer. So.
I mean, in all seriousness, I think, you know, both of us, for us, it comes from kind of a very spiritual place. Like we believe God has brought us together as a team to do this thing. And so we do everything we can to just kind of to keep that alive. You know, we try to make sure we separate so that, like, there's times when we are on stage and we're on the road and we're doing that, but then there's also times when we're not. And so, like, we try to make it a point every week to have a date night where we don't talk about business. We don't do any of that. We just be together. And that kind of helps us to keep the fire going.
Do enjoy spending time with each other. You know, he's my best friend. There's no, I'm so thankful that, you know, we are best friends. You know, quarantine is like, you're stuck. You can't go anywhere. But, you know, I wouldn't rather be quarantined with anyone else.
Oh, shucks.
So
there's
that.
Yeah.
But so, yeah, there are some.
There's
not to say that we've never had a fight before going on stage.
Oh yeah,
that happens. I mean, yeah.
But we also. Oh, are you not hearing us?
He's got a problem.
Gotcha. Okay, you want us to keep talking? We'll keep talking. Okay.
We can talk.
Don't worry about it. You do your thing. All right. So welcome to our show.
This is now the David and Kylie Night Show. Thank you so much for joining us. We're happy to have you. So as you were saying, talking about.
Well, I was just saying that there are times where we've, you know, had that argument like right before, but we recognize that we are there to do a job and we are there to be professionals. And so we're gonna put aside that stuff that's bothering us, and we're gonna come forward and we're gonna do the best show we can, because those people didn't come to see us argue and fight or, you know, be disgruntled with each other. They came to see an awesome show.
Professionals, like you were saying, you know, you have that argument, you walk on stage, everything's great. Hi.
It is, because for, you know, as husbands and wives, you then have to go home. I mean, you know, Dean Martin, Jerry Lewis, when you finish your gig, you go. Siegfried and Roy, when they finish the gig, everybody goes to their own home. Each one goes to their own home. Bud Abbott and Lou Costello, and there's people here probably watching. What is that? Yeah, I'm that. Yeah, right. I'm that old. Believe me. Yeah, I've trained dinosaurs. No, but that's a very interesting point you make, because like them, you kind of go, okay, it's showtime, fine, we just got to go there and,
Yeah.
and then just do the job,
Yeah.
and that's what it's about. So, have you had in your travels, for example, incidences where you're trying to get something together and it's failed horribly? Because we've all have a horror story. Do you have a particular one, or have you been just so blessed?
Every show's been perfect. No.
I don't believe you for one instant.
No, we've absolutely had mishaps on stage. I could think of the one
for 20 years something's going to happen, right?
Exactly. I think one that pops into my head was should I tell which one are you thinking?
I don't know.
Okay.
Not reading your mind right now.
Oh, okay. Well, actually, one that popped into my head that we've been talking about recently is we used to do a head chopper routine. And if anybody's ever seen Andre Cole's show, he had an amazing head chopper routine, and it was definitely influenced by that. But so we had this head chopper that worked in every show. We did it constantly.
Yeah.
And we were doing this show out at a Six Flags on a movable stage. And I get a guy up in there.
Many years ago.
Many moons ago. I get a guy up there and I slam the blade down. And the blade actually, as it went in trying not to reveal too much here, but as the blade went in, it actually dug into the wood at the bottom of the stocks. And so I didn't realize this, but as I went to go pull it out, it was dug in and it wouldn't move. And so the guy in there, he's got his head in the stocks.
Nice volunteer that we got up from on stage is stuck in this head chopper. And we're on stage in front of all these people, and we're like, David's like, it's stuck. I can't get it out. And I'm like, okay, this is gonna be great.
And so I literally had to pull the prop apart on stage.
This is probably the worst thing that's happened
this was terrible.
ever.
And
but
eventually,
it gets better, guys. This is a kicker at the end. You're gonna love this.
So eventually, I literally break it apart. All the wood and the metal's going everywhere. Break it all apart. Get the guy out. Stand him up. Make sure he's okay. He says, "Yeah, I'm fine." And I kind of turn to the audience. I said, "Well, thank goodness you're not a lawyer." He turns to me and says, "Actually, I am a lawyer."
Blood drains from the head. Like, oh no, we're gonna get sued.
We're done.
We're done.
Thankfully, he was a totally cool guy. Our next routine was a straitjacket escape, so he kind of got to get back at me for a moment. But
and he did.
And he did. Yeah, he put me in there well.
But all ended okay, and he walked off, and we apologized profusely, and he said, You're good, man. They shook hands and they're all right.
Yeah, he was fun.
But
that's probably the worst.
Yeah. Now you've done some cruise work, I know, on ships, and I've never done anything. I've been on cruises, I've never worked on a cruise ship, but I know a number of friends who have, and that's a whole different ball game.
Yes,
because you can't go, oops, I need flash paper. I'm just going to get in the car and go get some, or a candle's stuck. I need to buy another one. You really have to know your stuff and think about it well in advance. Talk to us a little bit about the cruising that you've done. I think it was as far away as Alaska as well, didn't you, at one time?
Yeah. Well, and to kind of step back on that, so two of our really close friends are Fred and Bobby Becker, who are world-class performers and very entrenched in the cruise industry. A couple of years back, they were he had a book back in the 90s that he wrote on cruise ships, and they were kind of taking that and turning it into a virtual class on how to get, it's called Gigs on Ships. You can check.
It's an extensive course.
It's 9 weeks long. And so they had seen our show and they're like, we think you guys would do well on cruises. Would you be willing to beta test this program for? And so we're like, sure, we'll give that a shot. And I got to tell you, if you're interested in any form of performing, check out Gigs on Ships.
Not just for cruising.
No.
I mean, they give so much information there that will up your game, even if you're not doing cruising.
Yeah. But what was great is for the cruises, they give you a lot of information that you don't really understand until you hit the cruises.
It's true.
And so flash forward, it took us a little while to kind of get all of our ducks in a row, get an agent, and get a cruise gig. We got a cruise gig, and it was for 6 weeks in Alaska, which was amazing.
Especially during Texas summer. That's exactly when you want to be gone.
This is true.
Can I get an amen from the Texans there? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
This is true. And what's really interesting about cruising is you're never really off. You have a period of time. So our show was usually on Thursday nights. And so there's a period of time where people didn't necessarily know who we were, but we were very much out and about and trying to make friends, because another part of the cruising gig is you kind of have to get people on your side because they're going to review your show. And if you don't get good reviews, you're not coming back. And so we were out and about and making friends. People didn't know who we were until about Wednesday morning, and they would get this little slip of paper under their drawer that told them what was happening on Thursday night. And it had our big picture on there. And all of a sudden, we're seeing the same people we saw the night before. They're going, "You didn't tell us you were the magicians." Like,
or you're standing in line for breakfast that morning and you're like, "Oh, there's the magicians, there's the magicians."
But you also have to remember that you're constantly representing the cruise line.
Yeah.
And so you want to make sure that whatever you're doing out in public, you're not, you're not making them look bad in any way. You're not setting it up for failure. So, but it's an awesome experience. I highly recommend it. The stages are beautiful. The tech team, they will bend over backwards to make your life easy. And if you get in good with the crews on these ships, man, they will do everything they can to make sure that your show's set up for success. Yeah, we absolutely loved our crew, and we loved our time on the cruise ship.
But if you're wanting to learn more, gigsonships.com is the website to learn more and get that course with Fred and Bobby Becker. They're amazing.
Yeah, well, I think I may have mentioned it to you, but Fred and Bobby, in fact, are members of the SAM International Assembly, and next year I'm going to get into talking to Fred and bring him in as a couple as well, because you're right, he has a wealth of knowledge. I was on the bill with him back in the day at an SAM convention. I can't remember. I think it may well have been Dallas. With Chris Mitchell, and they were just like having fun on stage, with fishing poles and buckets. I'm not going to reveal it. I really won't. Right. But you're right. He is pretty much a master of the craft, and I was fortunate that I finished my bit and I was able to just sit back and just be an audience member and just roar with laughter. It's just
so much fun.
Unbelievable and very knowledgeable too. I mean, and then you're right. The book, I haven't read it, but I've heard a lot of people, praise it. So I'm glad you brought it up. That you get a couple of bucks off Fred for plugging his books. Yeah. Now you, oh gosh, I'm going to get shot for this, I think, by other friends. But hey, you're a fan of the Dallas Cowboys, right?
Oh, we had to go there.
We were having such a good day.
Well, it's why I brought it up.
Oh yeah, we are very big fans of the Dallas Cowboys. I grew up in Dallas, and so I was born into it. When she got into American football, she kind of got dragged into it.
It took years to understand that game. Years. So it was a very strange game, football.
Yeah. But now she loves it. And
I do.
She gets on to me if I'm not turning on the game.
Absolutely. And we still watch the Cowboys, even though this year we probably shouldn't.
Yeah. This is 2020. It's terrible.
Well, yeah.
It's rough, guys.
Yeah, I did back in the day. I remember being shown around the stadium because I have a good friend. He's still in just outside Dallas. I'm trying to remember where he is. Arlington. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. Right
so
there.
He had a lot of connections with it, and he took me over there, and they gave me a really nice tour, and up in that big glass thing at the top. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that was nice. I have to admit, I am not a football fan. If somebody took me to a game, I'll watch it, but I wouldn't like, I'm not. But that was an interesting experience. And that's one of the reasons I brought it up, because a number of friends, not too far away from you, including a past national president of the SAM, is also a Dallas Cowboys fan. Now you guys are talking about Andre Cole and so on. You also did a stint with Kevin and Cindy Spencer.
We did.
Yes.
Yeah. You want to share some of that?
Yeah. So, well, you know what? Here's what's really interesting about Kevin and Cindy as far as our connection there. So, as I was working with Andre, I had the chance to meet Kevin and Cindy. They were big into the I don't know how many people remember WHAM, World Alliance of Magicians, that was bringing up lawsuits against the Masked Magician and Fox TV.
Sorry to
Oh,
interrupt, but
yeah.
it got started by a very, very dear friend of mine, and indeed of other people as well. He must be, 90-something now, dear Walter Zaney Blaney. He started
Yes.
that, WAM. And
That's right.
John Sherrock and Mary Lynn, his wife, who's also a lawyer. They kind of got involved about copyright issues, but do continue, please.
Oh
yes.
no, that's fine.
Yeah.
So while traveling with Andre, we got to meet the Spencers on the road on several occasions. And there was one time where they were doing a show at a college. We had the day off, and so we were going to go watch their show, and they're like, "Oh, we're freaking out because we don't have somebody backstage to help us." And I'm like, "Well, I've got nothing else to do. Let me help you guys backstage." And so we just had a great working experience. And so then I started talking with Kevin and Cindy, and they were looking for somebody to go on the road full time with them. I was still with Andre at this time, and so we were kind of talking about it, but not really bringing it up. And at one point, Kevin goes to Andre, and he says, "I know you get a lot of people who want to travel with you and that you don't take on for whatever reason. Do you mind if I look through some of the files of people who've submitted applications to see if somebody might work for us?" And we hadn't told Andre that we were talking, but Andre turns to Kevin and he goes, "Well, aren't you talking to David about joining you?" And we're like, how did he know? But he was very cool about it. He was like, "Yes, David would be great for you guys." And so so I got the chance to go join them. And then during that time, I met Kylie, and I told them, "Hey, I'm going to be getting married soon, so can you bring somebody else?" And so, for 7 years, we got to work with them, travel all around the world, performing in theaters and performing arts centers, civic centers. I got to drive their big truck. I don't know if anybody has ever seen a 65-foot semi that they drove. That was scary, me driving it. But then so we did a lot of backstage work for them. I handled all the illusions. You dealt with sound and lights.
Yes.
And then they gave us, and then they gave us a 3-minute spot in the middle of their show to do a linking ring routine. So we got to do that all over the world, and that was a lot of fun. And we got to learn a lot from them. It was a really huge growth experience for us. And we got to be involved with their Healing of Magic program, the way they use magic as a form of occupational therapy, and see some of the amazing things that they do with that. And again, I know we're tossing out all these different organizations, but check out Healing of Magic,
Magic Therapy,
magictherapy.com, and hocusfocusEducation.com, both which use magic as a form of occupational therapy. And literally we saw people's lives change. I'll never forget, if I can just share this for a moment.
Please do. Yeah.
So we would get called into schools to work with a lot of special needs students. And there was this one place, I want to say it was in Iowa. Mm-hmm. And Kevin and I walked in to work with what we were expecting was a special needs class, which typically, was like Down syndrome or, a lot of really deep issues. And we got in there, and I remember the teachers told us, don't get your hopes up about working with this group. They're not going to be able to do anything for you. They're just not going to do anything. And we got in there and worked with them. And one of the great things about Kevin is he has no prejudgments about people. He loves people. And so we walked into this room, we started working with these kids, and what we found is there was nothing wrong with these kids. Somewhere along the way, they had been told that they couldn't do, and so they kind of gave into that mindset. But once we started working with them and didn't have that preconception about who they were, they opened up and they started doing these amazing tricks. They were coming up with these awesome stories and pattern lines, and it's just awesome to watch these kids go from really almost sullen to, at the end of our time with them, and we were only with them for 2 hours.
Incredible transformation.
They just blossomed, and it was such an amazing experience.
We saw the guy talk for the first time.
Oh,
that's a tearjerker right there.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
So
wow.
Kevin was working with this 8-year-old kid. And again, same sort of concept. He doesn't have judgments about. He just starts working with the kid, right? And the kid's dad is behind him filming. And at the end of the session, Kevin gets up and shakes the kid's hand. They've been talking for an hour. Turns around and the dad is standing there and he's just bawling, crying, filming. And he bear hugs Kevin, and Kevin's like, "Oh my goodness, what's this?" And the guy's like, "You don't understand. I have never heard my son speak." Wow. And it's just powerful, powerful stuff.
Yeah. Or the working with the kid
who had Down syndrome.
And couldn't open his hands, but because they were doing this trick, opening and closing the hand using the
jumping rubber bands. We all know that trick, right? And
the
so
dexterity of it because he had a purpose for doing this that usually is just a therapy, and it's like, here, put the pegs in the hole or whatever. But because he had a purpose and this magic was happening right in his hand, he wanted to keep doing this. And, you know, he'd never been able to really open his hand, but with like an hour's practice, he was doing this. And the nurse there said, I've never seen him do that before.
And she'd been working with him for months.
Yeah.
So
it's incredible program. Kevin is doing so much around the world.
That's in fact incredibly, as you say, powerful, therapeutic. And
It is.
it's a little bit cliche of what I'm about to say, but you know, I don't know any other way of saying it. The real magic, magic.
Yeah.
You know, you're touching someone's psyche, their soul, and you know, I'm sitting here kind of semi choking up, listening to what you said about the child. The father had never heard him speak, and the other child, you know, being able to do that with his hands. I've had a kind of one similar experience once when I was in England. Somebody said to me, "You here? Can you do this?" I said, "Yeah, sure." And then when I got to this place, they kind of said, "You need to, you know, not react." And I said, "Well, what's going on?" And what it was, cut a long story short, is there were all these kids who had been disfigured or something in some way.
Yeah.
And I said, no, I'm fine. And they said, "No, you really don't understand. You're not fine. You can't handle it." And you know, it took me a good minute, because you're not used to seeing something like that. So I think what you guys are doing, what Kevin is doing, in my personal opinion, I think is fantastic. And I'm pretty sure pretty much everybody would agree with that.
Yeah.
So that's sorry about the cliche again, the real magic.
Real magic.
I know there's Copperfield used to get involved with something like that, the healing, and I believe the IMF, which I remember we all are, gets involved in some magic therapy, and I think we have done that in the SAM. I know we have in the past. So whether we should revive it or not, I don't know. Maybe we should. I don't know. But you know, it's something to certainly consider, because you know, it's reaching out and sort of giving back. And if you can create a smile, I referred to it earlier on, and I'm not going to tell you the whole story. I mean, Simon Lovell told me this, funnily enough, in Texas, when we were both in Dallas back in, almost 20 years ago, when Scott Wells, in the year 2000, Scott Wells was president of the Texas TAOM, and he told us a story about this pebble, and he was sitting on his flatbed truck with all these traumatized children in Bosnia. I mean, you know, they're 8, 9, 10 years old, and they've had bombs going off and seen their families, you know, dead in front of them, and he sort of made them smile, just vanishing a pebble, and you know, whoa. So really, without getting into sort of too much emotion about this, you know, thank you so much. I think this is fabulous, and you've given me an idea. I'll talk to you privately about it another time.
Okay, sure.
It's something maybe we should be looking at and creating again.
Okay.
I love it.
And doing it. And I kind of come and twist your arms to help us with that. Now, going on to, you mentioned earlier on, you're originally from Australia, and you came in, and you now are an American citizen. And I believe we have a passport up there which shows an American citizen. There you are. Ha ha.
Ha ha.
But you almost got thrown out and deported, right?
I did. Yes, I did.
What on earth did you do? What on earth? We all want to know. What did you do? Who did you upset?
Okay, so we had to go through the green card. Once we got married, you know, I was able to apply for the green card. Some people think that it happens automatically when you get married. You automatically become a citizen. It's not the case. You have to go through this lengthy process, pay a lot of money, go through interviews and wait your time. And it takes a long time for this to happen. And we were, you know, it was just after we got married. So we're on the road with Kevin and Cindy Spencer. And we actually lived in their basement. They had like a basement apartment. So we lived with them and we traveled with them. But because we all traveled so much, we didn't actually have a mailbox at the house. So we, you know, on all of my documentation, it says, you know, your actual address and your mailing
physical address.
physical address and mailing address. And I always distinguished the two because I couldn't accept mail at the house. I had to go to the PO box that we checked every time we were in town. And so I was waiting for that big interview, the green card interview where they sit down and grill you forever. It really wasn't that bad. But we eventually came home and I got a letter in the mail saying, you didn't show up to your green card appointment.
Oh my.
So you're going to be deported. And we're like, we
We're
never got,
freaking out.
we were freaking out because we never got notification that this interview was going to happen. We'd been waiting for it. We'd been married 5 years at this point. And like, well, we knew it took a while, but we never got notice. So David's like, nuh-uh, this is not happening.
No.
You are not leaving the country. So he got online and started searching for, who was it that you found online?
Well, I ended up finding
a letter.
Yeah, I found an email address for the Director of Immigration and Nationalization Services. And I only found it because for some reason, there was a memo online about a party that was being thrown. And her email address was attached to it. And so
David didn't just call somebody. He went to the top and found the director.
Yeah.
And so you called.
Yeah, I called her. Oh, that's right. I found her phone number.
You found her phone number. You called her and she's like, how did you get my number?
I'm a magician.
So David explained the situation. Like, this is where we're at. And she's like, okay, all right. How long have you been married? 5 years. Like, and you're only at this point in the process? And we're like, yeah. It's like, oh, let me fix that. Take care of you. I will rush the process. And so thankfully, because David did some good research online, pulled this, the director, she fast-tracked us, set up the interview date, made sure we're okay, made sure I wasn't going to get deported. And got the interview and also Breeze.
Yep.
But
she's still here.
Yeah, that was a scary moment.
Yeah.
Oh, I can imagine, because a lot of people who are U.S. citizens don't actually understand the process of just visiting the U.S.
Yeah.
Never mind living there or getting a green
Right.
card. Because they travel, they come back, they go to a kind of special section, show their passport, and that's it. It doesn't quite work like that if you're a non-U.S. citizen. Especially there are some folks, in fact, you couldn't do it before, but in the last 10 years or thereabouts, you can. You can have dual nationality. You can be a citizen of which you are. So that's okay now. It didn't used to be the case. So there's some kind of funny, but sometimes also horror stories. I know one, and I won't mention his name, and he was billed for everything and all over the place when they came back. And when they came over, funnily enough, it was George Bush International in Houston. They just turned him around and go, nope.
Oh, no.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm not going to mention names, but seriously. He said, yeah, but nope. You just turn around.
Yeah.
And that's when folks found out that, and this may come as a surprise, in fact, to a lot of folks living in the U.S. citizens, that the Customs and Immigration officer at the airport has the right to do that.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
You don't have, you go, what? Really? People go, I said, yeah, they do. They can actually turn around to you and go,
Yes,
all right, we're not going to let you in. And you say, yeah, but can I speak to your supervisor or call a judge or a lawyer? And they go, no. You can't do anything. I've just said no.
Right.
And it's kind of like, horrific. I mean, and the hoops that people have to jump through to get a work visa, even if it's like, being booked to go and do a gig. And that kind of thing. And when you're done with that, there's, the tax side of how much you got paid. And people really, if you're living and gigging in the States as a U.S. citizen, it's a whole different ball game. Speaking of more cheerful things, and this one is not, you've had your fair share of fun stuff on the road, have you not? I believe it involved a ruptured appendix.
Oh, yeah. Well, like things with the magic, things are going to happen when you're on the road for so long, and you're bound to get sick at some point. This was February 2016. I remember it was like Super Bowl weekend, and we'd been doing shows. We're in Maryland and Virginia.
Yep.
Because we just finished the Maryland, like the Sunday, and then we're in Virginia on the Monday. We did a show that night. And Sunday we'd finish the show and they were invited to like back to our host's place for a party basically. And I'm like, I'm just not feeling 100%. So I'm like, no, I'm going to pass on the food and slowly let myself out and go back to our room. And so then, Monday started feeling worse and we're driving home back to Texas and getting worse and worse. I'm like, this is not good. I'm going to have to go to the doctor, thinking it was just like, I don't know, something I ate.
Right.
Probably, I'm sure. So we got to the doctor on
Thursday.
Yep, Thursday. And she's like, you're going to the emergency room right now because your appendix is going. Like,
oh my God.
No, this can't happen. Can we wait for next week? Because we had a show.
Well, we were in the midst of, we'd only been like full time about 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
And this was the busiest season we'd ever had. So we had like shows just back to back to back. And it was awesome and exciting. And so we had a show Friday.
Right. No, Thursday. So we had a show in town Friday. Then we had a show Sunday in Florida.
Yep.
And then we had another show sort of local on Monday. And so I'm like, can we just wait till Tuesday or something? Because I'm kind of busy. And they're like, nope, you're not going anywhere. So Friday morning, they took my appendix out. We had to postpone that show.
Yep.
I was going to fly to Florida with you, but the doctor wouldn't let me.
No.
They're like, no, you can't fly. So I was out of the hospital.
You got out Saturday.
Friday
Was it
night.
Friday night?
Yeah, I was only
Okay.
there
That's
one
right.
night.
That's
and
right.
I'm like, I'm done. Get me out of here. And then I helped you with the show on Monday.
Yep. I had to go do the show by myself on Sunday.
Yeah. The one show that
terrible.
you've ever done on your own.
It's terrible. But yeah, well, and what was amazing was, so she helped with the show on Monday, and like literally moments before the show, kind of going back to what you were talking about at the beginning, we're backstage and she's like, I need a bucket.
I'm gonna throw
not
up.
sure if I'm actually going to make it out on stage. And
Because, I don't know if you guys have had surgery and they give you those anti-nausea medications. It felt like when I was taking that, it was even worse. So, you're backstage and you get those, get a little nervous, but
Jitters.
it wasn't jitters. This was like, I am going to throw up.
Yeah.
So David's like, all right, so if you don't come out, I'll just take care of it. It's okay. It's okay.
well, and our first trick
Right.
involved the two of us together.
Yeah.
So I walked out first and she follows me. And so, I'm like, if you don't come out, I'll figure out what to do. Thankfully, I turned around and there she walked right out and we did the
Oh,
show.
wow. Great.
we went through the whole thing.
We did the 45-minute show.
We did a 45-minute show. At the end, our host gets up and says, you guys don't understand how amazing it is because Kylie just did the show because she just had her appendix out. And the whole audience goes, oh, and I'm backstage at this point, and I go, oh yeah, I forgot you had your appendix out.
Honey, are
like
you
did
okay?
everything. She did everything she normally would. She was a rock
So
star.
then I sat down. I'm like, I can't move now. I'm done.
And she was done.
And then they put me in like, an office chair on wheels
Just
and
rolled
just
her around.
rolled me around.
You got a custom built wheelchair.
Yeah, exactly. So they were
Well,
very sweet.
Obviously, we can't cover everything, and you have some,
Yeah.
I know you've told me you had some wonderful stories, and I try to kind of pick a few that we could maybe share with everybody. But I do want to talk to you about your own shows that you do, which I think have a fantastic title. You call them Coffee Chats. Share this with everybody. You actually have mugs with your name on it.
We do.
I
Should have
get-
had those.
Oh,
made.
we got some of our mugs back here.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, so we're huge coffee fans. And we start a few years back. We also used to watch like morning talk shows, like where you'd like have the two hosts and they would banter. And I just thought, we're kind of a bantering couple. We
Yeah.
should do something like that. And so a couple years back, we started this idea called Coffee Chat. And it was literally just once a week we would come on and just
On Facebook Live
Yeah.
and just chat each Friday morning.
yeah. And it was just kind of, here's what happened this week. Here's where we're going next week, yada, yada, yada. And it was fun. Well, the upside for us on the whole COVID thing was suddenly everybody knew how to do like Zoom interviews, right?
Yeah.
And so we started bringing on guests to our coffee chats back in April.
Yep.
And so now, every week we come on. It's on our Facebook page,
Night
Night
Illusions.
Illusions. And we go live at 10 a.m. on Friday mornings, 10 a.m. Central.
Texas time.
Yeah, that's right.
There you go. That's right.
Yeah.
It's all about the Texas.
The only time that matters. And we have fun. We chat with each other for a few minutes, and then we bring on a guest. And a lot of our stuff is ministry based, because that's kind of the realm we roll in. But we've also had some comedians and musicians and trying to think, authors. So it's just been a lot of fun. Yeah.
Well, that sounds like a lot of fun, actually. I have to confess, I've not seen them. Okay,
Oh.
I think I did. No, I did tell you. I will get round to it. But would you believe? I mean, there's a few things that I get involved in.
What?
Yeah, and I follow the old showbiz adage. Well, actually, it comes from the Marine Corps. Don't stand when you can sit, and don't sit when you can lie. And I take it a stage further. Don't lie when you can fall asleep.
Fair enough.
So I'm working across different kind of like time zones and places.
Yes.
And I don't mean just time zones in the US. I'm talking about
Exactly.
everywhere
You're everywhere.
with Europe and so on. So I kind of like, okay, great, fine. I'm going to sleep till two in the afternoon my time.
Smart man.
I've been up till 4 or whatever, that kind of thing. Well, these actually sound like fun. So if somebody wanted to watch them, they just go over to your Facebook page, Night Illusions. Or
Facebook.com/Night Illusions. And there, and we usually post. There will be a post on there somewhere about the upcoming show, and then just click on and watch it. So
well, I'm going to ask you live now publicly. We have a feature now on who Tim Wise is. He's now our first VP on the International Assembly, the SAM one, and he's now given us very kindly a slot, which is our news, and we put up different news items about different things. So next time you do that, send me some info. We'll put it on there. We'll put it, because I do all the scripts, etc. We have a very cool guy called Tony Jr. who is, he's just friggin' amazing. He's just a newscaster presenter, and he's got his own kind of style, and you got to watch it. I mean, the first one's there. He's working on the second, I know. So yeah, you got to tell us all about these. So we're going to have these every fortnight or 3 weeks, just collating features rather than news, so do, because I don't know who you might get. Say, for example, you've got I don't know, Kevin and Cindy or Dwayne.
We've had Kevin.
This is kind of like a great news item, and obviously we'll put it out to everybody. So this is great. Well, I'll show you the link to the newscast. As I say, this is just great. Tony Jr. is from England. He's part of our International Assembly, and I spoke to him and a couple other folks, and he kind of went, yeah, great, I'd like to try this. I've never done it, and it was just awesome. And I said, okay, that's it. You're the presenter now. And he's got a fantastic kind of style and way of doing things. But anyway, you got to watch it. But you got to tell us about your forthcoming coffee chats well in advance. And, we need to share that with...
I can certainly do that.
With people. I think we're kind of coming up to that time where... I'm sure there's so much we can cover and so much I've researched and you've told me about yourselves. And I'd like to think that I've covered some of the main things to give everybody some fun and some insight on what it's like to actually be a husband and wife 24/7, and in that 24/7 actually be, a working team, working team. I mean, if you've had a row in the car to the gig or to the airport to get on a plane, you got to, as you were saying, Kylie, quite rightly, you got to put that to one side and go, we're here to do a job. And, your philosophy is very similar to mine and other mutual friends of ours. You're there, they're buying a ticket. You got to respect them. You got to do the best you can. So, yeah, absolutely. What I'm going to do now is to briefly just say a professional and personal thank you to you both. I think it's fabulous to have you as the first couple. I have to say a thank you, in fact, to Brett Saul, who you've met, who looks after things behind the scenes and keeps things busy. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And of course, to most illustrious, for those who don't know, it's how we address the current president of the SAM for setting up the Zooms, and he's been doing this all along for the Darkstone Dossiers and other things we're involved in. He also has a and I'll let him tell you about it a little bit in the chat, or with his mic. He has a thing called Bites from the Bat Cave, which is just awesome, where he's chatting to people, and well worth watching. And in case somebody wants to know, what is the SAM International Assembly? Well, basically, it's an assembly that has a lot of notables in it, past presidents of the SAM, five past IBM presidents, lots of people with silver stars and gold stars from the Magic Circle, lots of Magic Circle members, and people from everywhere, from Norway to Finland to Morocco to different places. So that's what is, and I can't remember his name. I think it was Matthew Crabtree, if I got it right. Joel will correct me most of last year. Sorry. He put up a wonderful thing called "We Are the Energy, We Are the SAM," and that's what it's about. It's taking this message, and well, there it is. It's on the screen. Yeah, it's taking that message to people and saying, come and join us, come and join the SAM. And I know Joel, myself, and other people, we have a lot of other things planned for 2021. So, having said all of that, thank you so much for making the time to do this. It's much appreciated. Thanks to, as I said, to Brett and to Most Illustrious for setting everything up. What I want to do, if that's okay by you, is to use a kind of Las Vegas term and just open up for a meet and greet where people can talk to you either in the chat or unmute themselves and just talk directly to you. Would that be okay?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We love that.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.
No,
This is
not
an
at all.
honor.
No, we're honored. It's an absolute personal and professional pleasure to have chatted with you guys. It really was. It was great.
Oh,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I've enjoyed it. So I think if we can just open up the
Anthony,
chat room. Yes, sir.
Tim has a question. Tim Wise.
Okay, yeah, let's just open it up and off you go, Tim.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for being here, you guys. You guys are very dynamic in your appearance and your performance, and you're well respected in the business. So how nice to see you here today. I've traveled on the road with a partner for many years, and when you basically one psyche, you become one mind. And so how nice to have you share your stories today. So I just wanted to also, on your coffee chat with the Abra.tv network that I'm putting together, perhaps you can stream your show through Abra, through the SAM perhaps, or even your own channel. So we could perhaps, Anthony has been so diligent, along with the Most Illustrious, in getting all together through these different channels to make to make a bigger picture. So I just wanted to say thanks for your contribution today on Anthony's show, and I look forward to meeting you in person. And but maybe we can even talk about getting your show up. So thank you for your time today.
Sounds cool.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
You're right. We sometimes joke that it's two heads, one brain.
Exactly.
And it is the truth. I mean, really, if you spend 24/7 together,
Yeah.
hard to, and there's a neuroscience thing here too that Dr. Bruce Lipton talked about, measuring brain waves by putting probes on your brain, to measure brain waves.
Yeah.
Okay. But now they have what is called magnetic resonance, meaning they don't have to touch the brain, the body actually, to get the fields. Okay. So now, if you think about it, our brains are emanating this energy because they have a device now that can pick up the energy without touching you. Isn't that interesting?
Wow.
When you think about a collective thought or a collective mind, that actually applies physiology now. It's actually pretty amazing discovery just recently that they can measure your brain waves without touching your body.
That's crazy.
Right? So that two mind thing.
Yeah.
One.
Yep.
Right? So pretty cool. So thanks again. You guys have
thanks.
Yeah, I want to get one of those things. It sounds like a great prop.
Right.
I think Abbott's put one out like that years ago.
Yeah, you get your whole audience going, yeah, the card is a 9 of clubs. Everybody's going, what? Yeah, whole new meaning to hive mind. Yes.
Yes.
Now, well, I know we have some good friends here also from the International Assembly, and they are from the best state in the U.S. Now, don't fight me on it. I have to say that. I got family and friends there. It's called Texas. Okay. And oh, by the way, do you have one of your Texan passports as well?
They're over there.
No,
They're over there.
that's a joke. That's a joke.
course.
That's a joke. That's a joke. Yeah.
That's stored in the safe.
So we have a couple of good friends, like I said, from the Jeff Lanes and dear PJ, dear PJ, and I'm sure they would love to speak with you.
Boy, if I could ever get technology to be my friend this week, I'd be a happy woman. It's so wonderful to spend time with y'all virtually. It beats not spending time with you at all. It's so good to see y'all.
You too.
Thank you
Good to
too.
see
It's
you.
good to see you.
Absolutely. It's a whole lot different ball game this year than last year.
Oh my goodness. Oh my
Right?
goodness. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
crazy.
Nuts. It's nuts.
But y'all just did a stellar job this afternoon. It's so cool to be able to visit with y'all.
Oh my
Absolutely.
goodness. Thank you.
And the next time we talk, I'll tell you my head shopper story.
Oh, really?
Anybody who's ever done a head shopper has one very similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You almost have to, don't you?
Well, you know, you got to love it when props. Did you ever hear Carol Roy talk about the she lectured at Corpus Christi TAOM years ago.
I missed that.
Oh, no.
And she and Marvin, of course, performed and he lectured and she lectured her own lecture as well.
Oh wow.
And she tells this story about how the one of the curtains knocked over the table.
Oh no.
And he's out in front of the curtain doing the beginning of the act solo. And then, you know, he's ready for the curtain to open and she's got the stage crew person not opening the curtain.
Right.
And she peeks through the curtain to him and she says, "You're done. Say goodnight."
You're done.
Oh yeah,
That's
you know, we all got to be ready to do whatever it takes to go with the flow when the props don't cooperate.
Yep. That is
That's
so
true.
true. That is so
So
true.
just break the son of a gun.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Sometimes you have to.
just break it.
Yeah, that's all the glamorous side of show business, isn't it?
Oh,
Yeah. Okay,
yeah.
I'm going to get deported.
All
my
right,
appendix
Tony
ruptures,
Jr., take
and
it
it doesn't
away.
work.
Mr.
Yeah.
Newscaster.
No, I'm going to go to Tony. I'm going to go to Tony in a minute. Like I said, it's the glamorous side of showbiz, you know, with all these wonderful things. But, you know, hey, it comes with a job.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
you just roll with it. Tony Jr., our great newscaster and presenter, all the way from England. Tony, the floor is yours. Yeah, go for it.
Hi, Kylie and David. It's Tony. Sorry, I'm off video because I'm on my phone tonight. Anyway, I just wanted to say a massive congratulations to not just the work that you do, but to what you've done for the children and people in Uganda. I mean, to take time out to do something like that, I just say a massive congratulations to doing something like that off your own back. I think that's great, and you should be commended for it. So I just really wanted to say a big well done for that. We all know about your illusions. We've all seen your shows. But we all know that. We all know that you're great magicians. But that I just think that's it in a different league of its own. So a massive well done and congratulations on that.
Well, thank you so much, Tony. It's our heartbeat. You know, it's funny. We, like I said, we have that little bucket out at the table at the end of our shows, and it's right where our merch is. And every night there's like this battle between, do we want more merchandise sales tonight or do we want more money going to Uganda?
Uganda.
And, we always say Uganda money is the best money. And so we love. Oh, go ahead.
So I have a friend. I've got this 9.5 stone dog. And I do dog walking twice a day, and I've met loads of dog walking people, and they've become quite pally. And one of them spends a lot of time in Uganda, and she organises events and raises money, and she does a lot to the education side.
Really?
Nice.
And that, but based on she spends, well, I mean, I don't think she's been there this year, but normally she hosts charity events and she does all that kind of thing over here. And you know, so your story resonates with her. And what I'll be doing on Monday is I haven't earned any money since mid-March. But I'll tell you what I'll be doing. after listening to you tonight, I'll be putting $20 in the Ugandan bank for you.
Oh, God bless you. Thank you so much, Tony.
Air high
That'll be-
five. That's what we do
Yes,
here.
yes. I'm sorry I'm off video, but normally I'm on video, but no, I'll be doing that on Monday. And what I'll do is I'll send proof that I've done it to Anthony so he can forward you on.
Okay. Beautiful. Yeah. And I'd love to talk to that friend of yours to find out more about what they're doing over there. One of the other really cool things about the Uganda Shoe Trees project is we're teaming, and I don't get to talk about this very often, but we team up with entrepreneurial educators, so people who are owning their own schools over there, and we're having them set aside a certain amount of their students to be a part of this project. So they have to have a certain amount of students that are underfunded to be a part of what we're doing.
And then the kids take care of the plant.
Yeah.
That's their plant. They plant the seed and they have to be responsible for that as they grow up. So because there's a lot of deforestation, because for over the years, they've used the coal there to burn that. So they've lost a lot of their greenery and they need that to come back into their country. So this adds to that. And we've helped plant thousands of trees now.
Yeah.
So, it's just, we just have such a big heart for that country and those people.
I think that is amazing.
Thank you, Tony.
It is.
Thanks, Tony.
Because I think, thank you, Tony. I think yes, of course, the socks and the shoes are important because they need that, and not diminishing from that. But I love this education, indeed, the psychology of saying, okay, here's your tree, and you take care of it, and it's not just, you could have one to whatever it might be. I don't know what trees they grow there. I've never been to Africa. The closest I've been is the Cabo Verde Islands, but it's not really mainland Africa. It's an island off Africa. But so I guess, they need orange trees and lemon trees or whatever trees.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know much about this kind of thing. But so I think the idea of a tree and having it's that old cliche, isn't it? Teach a man how to fish and you feed him for a year.
Right.
Rather than give him 2 fish. So I think this is way cool. Getting involved in the nursery part, not children nursery, the plant nursery.
Exactly.
To do that. Yeah, absolutely great. Wonderful. Let me take my hat off to you guys. It's knockout. Everybody talks about stuff and goes, oh man, it's bad. And, but you're actually out there doing something about it. And even if you're not out there, you're doing these little coffee, not little, big little coffee chat shows and other things to
we're trying to bring awareness.
Get something going there. Absolutely. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm happy to match Tony's $20.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. Thank you. Oh
yeah.
Okay, so now I have to jump back in.
Go ahead.
PJ.
Some of y'all know, but not everyone knows, but I'm seriously into growing things that feed you, because we have so many food deserts, even in a wonderful place like Houston and Dallas, same thing. And so my husband Sean and I have turned our yard into an edible landscape. So now I want to know what kind of seeds I can help to contribute to the trees. And then they're actually growing from the seed.
Yeah.
So things like guavas and citrus and the unusual things that are high in nutrition. And, so you and I need to hook up and have a serious conversation about that, because I want to get deeply involved with more than just money.
Oh, that would be
Okay.
good.
Yeah, you definitely need to hook up, because I was going to drag her in anyway, because we've been talking about this particular plant or whatever, and I've got some trees and things, but this particular plant. And then when she told me what it was, I looked at it and went, oh yeah, I know what it is. It's from Brazil. I've eaten the damn thing. I know what it is. Spent many trips there. Now you're talking Uganda. I know about this plant from Brazil, and I think this one, remind me of the name again, PJ, what's it called?
Jabuticaba, the Brazilian grape tree.
That's it.
Ooh, it's fun to say.
It is fun to say.
It's pretty cool stuff. And they also say, I'm not a medical professional. I'm not. So they say that it's actually quite useful in combating things like scurvy and diabetes and stuff like that. Obviously, you can't eat 16 pounds of it a day, but
Actually,
you know what I'm
I
saying.
probably could if my tree would produce that much.
Yeah. So I think climate-wise, it could. Yeah, you definitely should talk to PJ. She's a great lady, and she knows all kinds of stuff, especially now about the the plants and seeds.
Right.
Yeah, cool. I'm
Yeah.
glad you
Thank
jumped
you so
in because
much.
I'm in.
Yeah, great. That's
Awesome.
fantastic. So, I see a couple of other of our International Assembly members here. Hi, Jazz. I don't know if you're working or busy or just checking in. And Jeff Lane. Yeah, and of course, for those of you who don't know,
Jeff.
we have Mr. Tom Gentile, who is our president-elect, who takes over in July 2021.
Wow.
Yeah, and we also have Mr. Rod Chow from Canada, who is also in our assembly, who is the first VP. And he takes over from Mr. Tom Gentile in 2022. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dave and Kylie, great afternoon. Great tips that you shared, things to think about when you're going on the cruise ships. I always hear different stories from different people, and the common thread is you better bring it along because you're not picking it up along the way.
That is so true.
Depending on your port.
Yeah.
There's some places you can.
But the great thing is, the cruise lines, they want you to do a good job. And so, bring, I mean, one of the things we had was we brought an extra bag and we were freaking out. We're like, oh my goodness, are they going to get upset with us for bringing this extra bag? But as friend Bobby said, no, they want you to do a great job. Whatever you need to do that job, you do it. So
are you allowed to have giveaways and things like that? Or does the cruise line have specific giveaways?
What do you mean for giveaways?
As far as the audience, if somebody wanted to learn a magic trick, do you have little kits that you give out? Or
yeah, actually what's really cool is the cruise lines are very open to you actually selling things. So
each cruise line is different.
This is true.
And Fred and Bobby will talk about that a little bit more in their course, and that could change now. But
that's true.
Yes, they most of them are open to it. Some of them have different rules as to how you sell it, or they might take a percentage and this and that. But yes, I guess is the answer.
Packaging is a big thing now too.
Yes.
A lot of there's still no sales yet.
No, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Well, great afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So nice to meet you.
Yeah, thank you, Tom. Oh, Tony, you were going to say something. Tony Jr. from England. Are you still here?
I'm still here. Sorry,
you were going to say something. Go ahead.
I'll say something now that you pulled me up. David, I hope you don't mind. I'll send you a request on Facebook just because then you can send me the Uganda link so I get the right one. So I hope you don't mind that I've done that. So that's just so.
Thank you.
Yeah, so that's for turning in tonight and giving this free chat. It's been great listening to some of your stories and also great listening to what the work you do in Uganda.
Thank you.
Cool. Yeah, we'll see you online.
Let me ask you something, then, rather than looking for links and where to send it and so on, we could say, for example, me or somebody else just said, okay, we want to send you $20 or $40 or whatever. Just send it to PayPal to you, and then you put it wherever it needs to go. Can we do that?
Yeah, you can do that. I mean, for us, it's PayPal@nightillusions.com.
Okay.
Just make sure to tell me that you want it for Uganda, and I'll be happy to do that.
But we'll put a link on our Facebook page as well.
PayPal, so just like PayPal, at Night Illusions, KNIGHTILLUSIONS.com.
Simple as that.
Easy. Yep.
And then just people say, okay, it's for Uganda or for plants or whatever, and then you guys will, do whatever necessary.
Yeah, we can definitely forward that along. That would be super simple. Yeah, and I mean, really, the program is just it's phenomenal. Like we do the plants, we do the shoes, and now we're actually getting to clean water. I mean, I know I keep expanding this program, but you're never sure how much to talk about. So. But yeah, it's a great program. So thank you guys.
I think you could not at all. You're welcome. You can never. You can't talk too much about something like that. It's not charity. It's caring.
Yeah.
for another
Absolutely.
human being.
Ah.
There you go.
There it is. Yep. There it is.
Rock on.
Otherwise,
Well, now, yeah, you see, most illustrious is pretty sharp. He's got these things all covered.
Uganda shoe trees.
And if you just want to
Yeah.
send us money, you can do it that way too. So we'll take that.
We'll take a tip.
It's probably as easy to do that. Then you guys divide it up and send it wherever. I mean, God, if we can't trust you with it, then it's a really bad situation. But yeah, that's fine. It's for someone like me, that's much easier. Right? You just go to PayPal and it's done, rather than trying to find this or something. And then, there's lots of people have different things going on, and they go, "Yeah, we just send it to David and Kylie."
Yeah,
that's it. Yeah, it's that simple. Yeah. So okay, cool. Well, I think we kind of come to that time where we got to wrap it up, unless somebody has. Yeah, Tom Gentile,
Quick thing,
President-elect.
Dave and Kylie, how long is the coffee chat on Friday mornings?
We usually go about 30 to 45 minutes.
Because I think that would be noontime, our time. I'm Massachusetts. So.
Yeah, the 11. We start
Okay,
at 11 o'clock your time. Yep.
I need a coffee break about that time.
There you go.
Perfect.
Love it.
Yeah, I have a suggestion for you for somebody to come on to one of your shows.
Yeah,
and I'll tell you about it. I'm not gonna.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm not gonna do it here because he's actually here.
Oh.
No, I don't want to embarrass him.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Yeah, I did a particular interview with this gentleman in London for a London talk show, and I'm sure there's a lot of things he would want to say as well.
Cool.
If it depends on times and things, because he also does other things. But I won't embarrass him. I'll we'll talk privately, and I think he'll make a great guest, in my view. Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, once again, let me offer my personal and professional thanks to Brett Soul, most illustrious, and of course to my wonderful guests today, who's the first couple that I have. I'm looking forward. Thank you. Yes, indeed. I'm looking forward to the next couple, which if you joined us a little bit later on, is Alexandra the Great and her husband Bill, who, although he doesn't perform with her, he needs to be there to chain her up and make sure there's water in the tank at the right levels, because she's an underwater escape artist. And then coming up in December, we have a very, very dear friend of mine and her husband. You may not have heard of her, but her husband is called Jeff McBride. So we have the couple of Abigail and Jeff McBride. So they're going to come and chat about, working together as a couple and magic and other areas. So all remains is for me to say another thank you to you. Ask if there's any more questions or chat that somebody wants to talk about. No, if not, just remains me to wish you all a very, very pleasant Saturday and Sunday, and have a great week.
Stay well.
Bye. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.